Coming up on In Your Neighborhood, we'll take you to two museums that delve into Danville's past. And they sit right next to each other, much as they've done for the past 170 years or so. One goes back to the beginning, and the other deals with the more recent past.
From thermostats, TVs, doorbells, light bulbs, speakers to pet feeders, today's average household has 17 connected devices. And that number keeps growing. That means strong Wi-Fi and enough bandwidth are more important than ever. Upgrade to fast, reliable internet from SECV paired with Plume Whole Home Wi-Fi to keep your household running smoothly and ensure a great online experience for everyone. And with SECV, you get local customer service you can trust.
There are a lot of avenues you can take to market your business, but one easy choice to make. The SECV8 Community Bulletin Board is an inexpensive way for you to get directly into the homes of the potential customers you want to reach. The Community Bulletin Board costs $6 a day and can reach up to 54,000 households. You can find out more by heading to secv8.com.
Welcome to In Your Neighborhood. I'm your host, Chris O'Rourke. If you're still looking for something to do with your summer, might I suggest a trip to a local museum? We're at the Dale Engel Walker House in Lewisburg, Fort Augusta, and the Hunter House Museum in Sunbury. The Montour County Historical Society saw that episode and they said, hey, come here to our museums. So here we are in Danville. It's amazing to think that this house has stood in this spot in Danville for 233 years. The thousands of people who drive by it each day may not think about it or even know that it was the first house built here by General William Montgomery, an American patriot from the Revolutionary War. The house would have been considered a mansion, one of the finest in the area at that time, according to historical reports. Montgomery came from Chester County, bought a large tract of land to build the house, and became an old-school land speculator with the rest, making a lot of money with the venture. How long did his family live in this house then?
His extended family, the descendants, lived here until 1939 when Miss Russell, the last Montgomery descendant, died. And that's when the house was sold. And it was sold to the Benevolent Protective Order of Elks of Danville. I don't remember their number. They have a number, I know that. And they, in turn, deeded it over to the county, and the county deeded it over to the Montour County Historical Society in early 1941, and it was then established as a museum.
Okay. Diane Zamboni is a member of the Montour County Historical Society, which relied on the community to fill the new museum back in the 1940s because initially everything went to the family, but eventually they began to receive items that may have once been in this house.
Well, the house is exactly the way it was in 1792, which is very significant. The floors are the original floors. All the woodwork is original. The only thing that has changed is what's in the place. So that's very significant for a house that's 230, how many, 3 years old. 233. Yeah, I think.
But you also have some nice decorations in here. You have clothing, you have the furniture, and is it laid out in this room for a particular reason?
because it was a living room then, and we attempted to display a living room, what the living room may have looked like in 1792. This is furniture of the 18th century, and probably they had something like this. They were wealthy. The oldest thing here is that lowboy sitting over there, which was in the Montgomery family. It was not here. But the lady in the picture included in her will, the lowboy was to be given to the Montour County Historical Society. She was another Montgomery descendant, and it came to us. She lived in Watsontown. That's her picture, and her husband is with her. He was killed in World War II. She never remarried. There's a paper over there that will tell you about her. I've never met, well, we never met her. This came to us after she died. But that's a genuine 1760s Philadelphia Chippendale lowboy.
This chair was also in the Montgomery family, and this rocking chair was apparently made by Jacob Gearhart, who established Riverside and also has a tie to this picture over the fireplace, Washington's crossing of the Delaware River. Gearhart was the man in charge of the boats that day. As you'll find out if you visit, some of the furnishings here were donated. While they may not have come directly from the family, they fit with the time period and the theme of the room. In this case, the parlor. The room next to it may have been a second parlor, perhaps a recreational one. The will of the last Montgomery to live here never mentioned a dining room, but that's what the society decided to make it, then decorate it with items like this centennial scarf, and more notably, the first of 2 presidential signatures you'll find here. There's a patent for distilling whiskey, and apparently at that time, you needed permission from the president to do it, because at the bottom is Andrew Jackson's signature. The hallway or foyer is a beautiful way to enter the house with the original door still in place. You'll find the oldest known picture of the Montgomery house, possibly from the 19th century, along with portraits of Hannah Montgomery, the daughter of Daniel Montgomery and granddaughter of William, and John Boyd. The reason these 2 are in the front foyer is their son, Daniel Montgomery Boyd, built the Boyd house next door, which we'll take you to in a moment. By the way, with the mention of Daniel Montgomery, we bring up the town's name. It was always believed to be named after William's son Daniel, but those waters are a little murkier than you might think. William's brother also was named Daniel Montgomery, so it may have been named after both. William was known to walk about town calling it Danville or Dan's Town. Eventually, the former stuck. When you head to the other end of the hall, you find the kitchen, or at least what was believed to be the kitchen. For a long time, this was the military room at the museum, and it was positively jammed full of items and display cases. Once that was all moved to the Boyd house, as we'll show you in a bit, the society was able to properly show what the kitchen may have looked like back then. To that end, the society has made several interesting discoveries in the house's basement and attic. This chest was found in the basement and is believed to have originally been in the house. The society just had to alter it a bit to have it fit properly in here. There are a number of donated items from that time period, including one that is older than the house itself.
To us, one of the remarkable things over here is that sampler on the end. They're all nice. Some of them were done by the family, others donated. But a woman called one day from California saying she had a sampler that was actually made here in this area. And she didn't know what to do with it because there was no place out there where it would have been appreciated. And I said, oh yeah, definitely. And she sent it. That's 1762. That's older than this house.
Oh my Lord.
That sampler.
But it came from here, this area?
No, it came from California, from this lady who moved from this area to California.
But it was made in this area?
Yeah, it was made here.
Okay.
You can see, look at the colors, it's remarkable. I mean, most samplers look like these. They fade after time. That thing, no.
It was very well made.
And it's 1762. Well, it was probably rolled up for 150 years or more.
From the kitchen, we head to the newer section of the house, the non-stone sided section, which is believed to have been added to the main house sometime in the mid-19th century. The society aimed for a Victorian living room look in this room, adding furniture from that time and supplementing it with historical items from the Mooresburg one-room schoolhouse. The other main item in this room is this congressional desk that was used by Rufus King Polk, who served from Tennessee, but also lived in the former Vincent House 2 doors up, which was torn down to make way for the current school playground. Next to this room is the Danville room, which includes a cabinet full of a treasure trove of Montgomery items, including William's Bible, an invitation to the White House for a dinner, most likely from George Washington, and a tea set with its receipt for $37.50, an exorbitant sum back then. Did we mention the Montgomerys were rich? But the main focus of attention here is a signature from Abraham Lincoln. He signed a document appointing a Montgomery family member as postmaster for the town. The society also has a letter written by Benjamin Franklin to William Montgomery, but it's not on display. Only a printed version of the text is shown. Upstairs, you'll first stop at the Native American room, filled with arrowheads and all manner of dress and other items. Then there is the clothing room, currently featuring a display of wedding dresses from the past.
Now,
so what is this room?
This is William Montgomery's bedroom, and it is quite luxurious, I think, for the 18th century. It's also bright and cheery. However, we have to cover the windows because the sun fades everything, so you have to keep everything covered. The item in here that was in the family, one of the items is this bed. We don't know, it was in the family, it came later, but we don't know if it was in this room for certain, but it was in the family. This is also, this little stand was in the family, and that belonged to his son Daniel.
Oh, wow.
This belonged to Miss Russell. No, the baby chair, the little chair belonged to Miss Russell. And here's, now Miss Russell was the last Montgomery descendant, if you remember. And here, her doll sat in that chair, and we still have the doll.
We have a picture of it.
Yeah, we need work. It needs work.
Okay.
We have the doll also.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So you might someday be able to put it in that chair.
Yeah, we had it sitting there, but it really was kind of scary for little kids because her eyes had fallen down on her head.
No, you don't want that. Yeah.
But this is the original chair that she had, and we still have it. It's just you're afraid to take it anywhere.
Right, yeah.
It's not, it's out, it's the museums.
Yeah.
That won't fall, it's okay. This is a stove, which was up in the attic, and it's from Warwick. Okay. Now, Warwick is down by Chester. It's somewhere between Chester County and Montgomery County and those places. So we're assuming, and maybe wrongly, we don't know, that he could have brought this along or purchased it down there. And he did use coal in his fireplaces. There are different, he used anthracite coal in the fireplaces, and probably in that thing, I guess.
So that's all
we had that
here?
Restored. It was up in the attic. We found it up in this attic. So I don't know. You'd have to go back to 1940 to figure, was it always here?
Yeah.
And quite possibly it was. It was all rusted out, and we had it cleaned up and fixed and put it here. This is a man named John Kelso, who was an early teacher in town. That was his trunk, and it's a horsehide trunk. If you feel it, it feels like a horse. I don't know why.
Trunk?
Yeah, it's like fur.
Yeah, that is strange.
Uh-huh.
Oh yeah, especially down here.
Yeah, where it's not worn off.
Uh-huh. That's a weird trunk. So it was made out of horses' hides?
Yeah.
Okay. Whatever.
I don't know. This is actually, it's a blanket chest, and if you open it, and there are blankets in it, here are the directions, and it tells you not to use mothballs or anything because it's cedar and it will protect your clothes. But it's a really unusual piece, and there's some notation that it was found up in the attic here, so it's been here a while.
Just down the hall is the Geisinger room. It features the bed that an older Abigail would sleep in on days that she wasn't feeling well and would stay at a room she kept at the hospital. Her house is right around the corner from the museum and is now a bed and breakfast. A few more items in the room were hers, including the sewing machine, which she apparently didn't use much as it looks brand new. The portraits are of her and her second husband, Joseph Cornelison. 3 women from Chicago contacted the museum about them, drove to Vermont to get them, and then delivered them to the museum. One last room we'll show you is this small one at the back near the servants' stairs. It was most likely the room for the Montgomery family's only slave. So imagine the Montgomery House Museum was just packed full of stuff. And then they get the Boyd House in 2010. They renovate that for 7 years, and then in 2017 they start to move everything over, and that gives them plenty more space. So when we come back, we're gonna head over to the Boyd Museum and show you all of the amazing stuff they have over there.
Neighbors helping neighbors. It's how a community works. At SCCV, we're more than just your internet provider, we're your neighbor. We understand the importance of staying connected with fast, reliable internet, TV, and phone services. And we're here for you with local friendly support. Your money stays where it belongs, right here in our community. Invested in people, innovation, and the technology that keeps us all connected. We're proud to be your hometown provider, working hard every day to make our community better.
The Boyd House was built right next to the Montgomery House sometime in the late 19th century by Daniel Montgomery Boyd, the great-grandson of William Montgomery. Diane says they can't be sure exactly when it was built because no deed exists for it. It was constructed on William Montgomery's land. Danville's first settler had marked off lots after building his house and eventually established a school in this area, Danville Academy, along with a wool mill and orchards. His great-grandson was first involved in coal and then became president of the bank across the street. Boyd was married twice and had 2 children, but only one survived. That daughter, Elsie Boyd, and her mother sold this house to the Elks organization in Danville in 1923. The two then moved to a large, beautiful home outside of Riverside in an area that's known as Boyd's Station.
The only original piece of furniture in this place is this piano. And in 1923, when Elsie and her mother were leaving the house, a Wolverton family needed a piano for their daughter to practice on, so they gave it to the Wolvertons. Many years later, the Wolverton family gave the piano to the Historic Society, and then when the Historic Society bought this place and refurbished it, it was brought back over here where it started. We don't know if that's exactly where it was, but this was the living room. It remains the most intact room in the house. Period-wise, it's East Lake. If you look at all the woodwork in here is all original.
The Elks owned the Boyd House until 2000. The Montour County Historical Society then purchased it in 2010. And the idea at the time was to improve the Montgomery House Museum because they couldn't fit anything more in it. So they planned to move a lot of the items here to continue with their mission of preserving Danville's history. But what they ultimately did was create a second museum, full of items from Danville's more recent past. Once you pass that first room, which is basically historically intact, you'll enter the very impressive military room. It all starts with the section toward the front dedicated to the Civil War.
This is the Colonel Charles Wesley Ekman collection. Colonel Ekman was our most prolific Civil War veteran. Anything in this cabinet belonged to Colonel Ekman. This is his tunic. Anything in here belonged to him. These are, the term used for these is escutcheons, like an escutcheon on a door, like on a lock. Mm-hmm. And I don't know why, but it's the same, that's what they are, as escutcheons. They describe his service. If you can get close to him, you can see that's all handwritten. These are both his. He has two different kinds. It'll show you his rank. Those are all his medals over there. This was a chair that he was given. There's a plaque on the side of it. I forget the year. He had several injuries during the war. He was had two horses shot out from underneath him, and a few other things happened to him. So in later years, he was more or less not able to function very well, and that's kind of a recliner / wheelchair type thing. We have it tied together so it doesn't get pushed. The kids like to shove it around. But anyway, all of this belonged to Colonel Ekman.
But he survived the war?
Yes.
Okay.
And I'll show you, he has a house right outside of, at Roaring Creek. Okay. If you turn at Boyd Station and go back that road, it's at the very end. I'll show you the picture of it in there. This is his field desk, and all of the documents in there are actual documents. We have a piece of plexiglass so people don't touch them. But Bob died a couple of years ago, so I don't want them moved because this is where he set the things up. He was here when he gave us all of this. This is Ekman's saddle. That's his sword. These guidons were up in the attic, but they would have belonged to the GAR. The GAR is the Grand Army of the Republic for people who don't recognize it. And the cannon and the limber also belong to the GAR. The rest belong to Colonel Ekman.
You'll even find a muster roll in this section, and if you're from the Danville area, you might even spot a relative's name on that list. The military section covers from the Civil War and Mexican War right up to the present. There are sections devoted to each war. You'll find just about every kind of rifle here, entire uniforms that were worn, as well as just about every coat you could imagine. There are also areas devoted to individuals like George Pfeiffer, who lived up the street from me when I was growing up, and who, I didn't know, served his country very admirably in both the First and the Second World Wars. You'll also find military uniforms in the hallway next to this room and in another room nearby. Next to that is the genealogy room, where you can look into your family's past. But the big room, the one that will take up much of your time, is the room devoted to all things Danville. It's a hodgepodge of everything you could imagine that has to do with the community's past. One of the main features right off the bat is Danville's history with iron, with all kinds of tools that were used to create the precious metal at that time. There's also a focus on the community's famous T-rail.
These were all made here in town, and that proved that, and at one time the railroad tracks were not standardized. That's why there's all different
sizes.
Until they standardized them, we wouldn't be across the United States. And this showed the people of Danville who found this that the companies that were needed were made here in Danville, and many other places, of course, too. But it proved that they were instrumental in taking it right across the country. So it's a very important document, actually.
The first T-rail was made in 1845, and the energy of the iron industry kept Danville going for 100 years until steel moved to the forefront. Wander through these aisles and you'll find yourself stopping constantly to look at what's inside the display cases or even outside, like the Beaver stoves, made famous by Thomas Beaver of library fame. You can still find these across the country, along with his mailboxes. This is the original bell from one of the machine shops. It was first rung in February of 1845 and still does the job. Right next to it is the original counter and cash register from the company store, which was right across the street from where CVS is now. There's a lot to take in when you're in this big room, and a lot for you to go over. Every display has a theme, like the history of Geisinger on one side of the room. There's also a music area that celebrates the life of Joseph Parry, a Welsh composer who settled in Danville. Across the room from that is a display case that highlights the businesses that are featured on the very large, very colorful display behind the case. Where did this come from and how did you find it?
The screen was up in the attic of the Montgomery house, but it was all rolled up in the rafters and tied up. And then, well, first Bill had to clean the place and make a space to even get it down so we could take a look at it. When we got it down, somebody said, oh, it had to come from the Opera House. So I believe anything, I guess. I said, okay. We advertised this is coming from the Opera House, and we tried to put, if there was a merchant up there and we had an article, we put it in here, and everything was related to that, the Opera House. And for 5 years, I told people it came from the Opera House. And then one day I found this news clipping, and it came from the Grange in Washingtonville. So now I tell people we didn't lie intentionally, we just didn't know.
Yeah.
Must have been a big Grange.
Yeah. Diane says this memorabilia, the items from Danville's past, is very impressive and a credit to the borough's residents and beyond who recognize the importance of preserving the past. That's why the two museums and the Historical Society are here. What an amazing treasure trove highlighting a community's past. The Montgomery House Museum and the Boyd Museum are only open from April through November, and only then on Sundays from 1 to 4. If you have a segment idea for us, send us an email at IYN@secv8.com or stop by our Facebook page. And that's going to do it for us. I'm your host, Chris O'Rourke. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you again next time, maybe from in your neighborhood.